we're here after the summer. This is the first game of what is a Champions League season for Newcastle United. We're going to be speaking to Newcastle United fans as we do every single home game. We're also going to be speaking to Aston Villa fans. There's a lot to discuss this week on what the season expectations are for not only Aston Villa but for Newcastle. Will they be able to match last season? What is the expectation? What are the thoughts on the brand new signings? And with the transfer window still open, what Newcastle fans expect? Don't forget to follow, subscribe and everything like that. Click below, makes a massive difference to the channel, and here we go. Right, so we're here with two Villa fans. Your names are?
Ryan. Carl.
How optimistic are you going into the first game of the season?
Very optimistic, to be fair.
Yeah.
Very. At least a score draw today, but we're talking Europe again, definitely.
Yeah, I think both teams very similar level. Both have been in the transfer market, improved their squads, both got Europe, so I think very similar. So I think 1-1.
Well, we had one of our regulars on the channel and he spoke about Villa. He wasn't even asked about it, and he predicted you guys are the dark horses for top four. Where do you see yourselves realistically finishing at the end of the season?
Minimum Euro. I think if like
Is that Conference League or is that Europe?
Yeah, like we're talking minimum Europe, Conference League, but then you're talking if we have a successful season like the end of last season, why not Champions League?
Yeah, I think I'd agree with Ryan. I think top 7 definitely, but 5 places get Champions League this season. So there's no reason why we can't push on. We've been very good in the transfer market. Tielemans,
as well. Yeah.
Unai, the GOAT. Yeah, we've brought in Tielemans, we've brought in Diaby, and we brought in Pau Torres from Villarreal as well. So 3 big improvements to our squad. So I think we'll push on, finish higher than 7th, which we did last season. Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched a couple of your pre-season games. I think the jury was out for Tielemans because he had a bad season at Leicester. A few of the Leicester fans thought he'd give up and stuff. He seems all right for you early. It's very early doors pre-season. You've been impressed with him in particular?
Very impressed with him, yeah. But you can't take pre-season too serious. It's really about fitness, trying new tactics, systems, that sort of thing. So he has looked good in pre-season, but hopefully that rolls over into the actual season now.
Yeah, and you mentioned Diaby as well. We were linked with him, Newcastle, for a hell of a long time. I'm personally very good. We didn't sign him. I think he's got a hell of a Premier League future. I've seen on pre-season he seems to get almost up and play a 4-4-2 at times. He seems to be the most attacking one, Watkins. What does the Premier League success season for him look like? What's your expectations?
20 goals contributions throughout. 10 goals, double figures, like that'd be, and Villa succeeding at the end of the day. Like it is a team game, so as long as we contribute and we win, then all good.
We got Barnes instead. If you had to trade him for Barnes, do you reckon he'll do better this season, or do you reckon Barnes? What do you reckon?
I think I personally would have been happy with either. I'd hoped we'd go in for Barnes, but then we were linked with Diaby. I'd prefer Diaby, which we've got anyway. But I would have been happy with Barnes. But yeah, Diaby, I think he can play from either flank, he can come in behind with Watkins, he can play up next to him as well. So I think, yeah, good. He'll make a big improvement to our team. Pace, movement's very good. Pace and movement, unbelievable. So I think he'll do well. Yeah.
The transfer window's still open. Are you linked with anyone? Still got money to spend? What's the feeling?
Yeah, we're linked to an Italian. Midfielder is Zaniola, who plays for Galatasaray now. He was at Roma, so he won the Conference League under Jose a couple of seasons ago.
Cover for Buendia.
Yeah. It was a bad injury, wasn't it?
ACL. So he's out for the season. So yeah, we're linked with him on initial loan with a buy option. So I think that's pretty much done, to be honest. So yeah, happy with that.
Another striker wouldn't be too bad either. A few more goals. Something to cover up Watkins just in case he gets injured. So.
That was one of the things I've got on here. So for me, looking from the outside in, the only weakness you've got is a very highly reliance on Watkins. If he goes down injured, and you've got Archer, he had a good season at Middlesbrough, can he set up? Is that the weak link that you've got, would you say, as fans, or what?
So far, but look, there's 2 weeks after the window, so we never know, and Emery doesn't mess around, so he'll know that. And Archer, if he's performing in training, he's performing in pre-season, so why not give him a chance, right?
Yeah. Have you got the squad for Europe? Because a lot of Newcastle fans, I'm going to ask this today, if the signings that were made have kind of made the squad big enough. For you guys, you've got extra games. Is the squad big enough that you've got?
I think so, just about. Me personally, I'd bring in another right back because we let Ashley Young go. Obviously, joined Everton on a free. We've got Matty Cash, who will be the starter, but we also have cover where we can play Konza at right back. Left back, Moreno's currently injured. We've got Luca Dean. And but again, Pau Torres can play as a left back and drop into a back three sort of thing. So I think we've got the squad for Europe. I'd buy a striker because we've got Watkins, and then the two backups are we've got a young Colombian player called John Duran and obviously Archer as well. So I'd potentially buy a striker with a bit of experience just to shore us up. But I think we're okay. I think we're okay.
Yeah, and speaking from the outside perspective, so Newcastle, where do you expect Newcastle to finish higher this season?
I think
get higher than you guys,
it's going to be one or two things for Newcastle for me. Like, they're either going to excel and be up there again and be challenging, or the Europe's going to crash and they'll crash and burn and be mid-table.
Like a West Ham.
Yeah. Either way for me, either way.
Yep.
I don't think it'll be a West Ham situation. I think Newcastle have got a good squad. I think they can. I think they've got 22 good players, so they've got essentially two 11s. I think they're a good side, but like I say, I think Villa and Newcastle are very even in terms of their squads. Both got good managers as well.
Well, the manager that you guys have got, he was our number one choice before we got Howe as well, and he's proven that, there's doubt about Arsenal. He's had a cracking season.
Yeah, he didn't have a great time at Arsenal, but Arsenal fans aren't like Villa fans or Newcastle fans. They're the plastics, aren't they? So it's one of them. I suppose if you give him a little bit of time, he'd have done something there. He's won stuff everywhere else he's been. Villarreal, Sevilla, PSG obviously as well. So
he suits like what Emery suits is a lower team with lower expectations, where he can scout and find his own team. Whereas when you're a higher manager, when you're playing for, managing Arsenal, you need something like you need to buy world-class players. Whereas he's good at scouting, he brings in players that he knows, like Moreno. Moreno has been fantastic, like a massive kind of addition to the squad. And the players he's brought in now, again, half of them he's had before, so he knows what they're about. So hopefully they perform as well as the other guys have.
Just going back to Newcastle as well, who would you say is Newcastle's best player from the outside? Who are you most worried about today?
I like Callum Wilson, I do. One of my favourite. I think he's just unbelievable. He's a prolific goal scorer. I'm a striker myself, so I have to appreciate a striker, right?
Yeah. Bruno Guimaraes for me. I think he's fucking unreal, man. I think he's very, very good. Makes things tick, knows what's happening. Like, I really, really like him. With Callum Wilson, great goal scorer, but is it going to be him or Isaac that plays? For me, Bruno's the best player in the Newcastle squad.
We're doing the reverse of this with Newcastle fans today. We're doing the early pre-season awards, so I'll do quick fire with you guys for Aston Villa. So, who's going to be your top goal scorer? Is that one a given?
Watkins easily. Yeah.
Who's going to get the most assists for you guys at the end of the season?
Diaby for me.
Diaby, yeah.
Midfield, I think McGinn maybe.
McGinn,
Yeah.
Who's going to be your star performer this season?
I think Martinez, as always, is my favourite.
Yeah.
Star performer for me, I think McGinn's going to have a really good season. He lost his way a little bit under Gerrard, but since Emery's come in, he's been unbelievable. So hopefully McGinn.
Breakout star.
I think Diaby. He's got a lot to prove. Although he's got the calibre, he's got to prove it on the Prem level, and I think he will.
Yeah, I'd probably agree. Diaby, yeah. Bought in for big money, good player, frightening pace, good movement. I think he'll be a very good addition to our squad and the Premier League.
And the last one, we need an outlandish claim. So what's like a 50-60 to odds, something like that'll happen at Aston Villa?
Champions League football.
Champions League, yeah.
We'll win the Conference League.
So we're here with Aston Villa fans.
Will.
And Ollie.
So thoughts on this season, where he's going to end up, do you reckon, before ball's kicked?
I've got a feeling we're going to sneak into that top 4, top 5. There's that extra place for the Champions League this season, so I've got a feeling we might just sneak in there with Unai.
Right.
I'm going to agree. I'm going to say 5th though, not 4th. 5th.
How are you predicting the top 6? Who do you think is going to win it down to 6 then? Is it City, do you reckon, or someone surprised?
I think City will win the league. And then I think Chelsea are going to have a good season. I think they'll
Chelsea
come back
second?
into it, yeah. I think Liverpool again.
I'd say Liverpool 3rd, I would say.
Yeah, and then Arsenal. Again, Arsenal, you can't really write Arsenal off, and then obviously you've got the Villa, so,
Really,
you know. Yeah.
Who's going to get the 6th slot then?
I think Hughes will get it. I think Hughes will get it. I think Hughes have got enough over Brighton. And I think with Champions League football coming back as well, I think you've got that extra bit of buzz around St James's, haven't you? So.
Yeah.
Agree, yeah.
Who's your relegation 3?
Luton, Sheffield United, and Wolves.
Wolves, yeah. You've got a rivalry with Wolves. Is that biased or unbiased?
No, I think with Lopetegui leaving a couple of days before the season, you know, we had that feeling when Martin O'Neill left back in, I think it was 2009. We've had a similar feeling, so I've got a feeling they'll struggle this season.
Lost their star players as well. Yeah.
Exactly, lost Jimenez, Costa's past it now, so yeah, I think Wolves, Luton, and Sheffield United for me.
Even though I don't like Wolves, I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say it's going to be Luton, Bournemouth and Sheffield United.
Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough. You signed Diaby this season. Now, he was linked with Newcastle for a while. What's your thoughts on him? He's had a very impressive pre-season for you guys. Will he do better than Barnes, goals and assists-wise? Or what do you reckon?
I'd like to think so. I'd like to think so. Obviously, with Barnes, you've got a proven Prem player there. You know, he had a good couple of seasons with Leicester. We're just hoping that Diaby doesn't turn out like another Leon Bailey. You know, we paid a lot of money for Leon Bailey and he's not really hit the ground running. But I think with Diaby, he's had a good pre-season. He scored a couple of goals, so I think give him a bit of time to settle in. I think he'll be a good signing for us.
Yeah.
I think he'll score a couple of goals because he's very pacey, which could help us. Because yeah, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, that's all right. We've got some quick fire questions for the next one. So the first one's very easy, I would presume. Top goal scorer of the season for you guys?
Watkins.
Is that just a given, hands down? Yeah.
I think Diaby will be close second. I think he'll have a good season, but I think Watkins.
Last assist this season?
Douglas Luiz.
Yeah.
Tielemans, because in pre-season he played some pretty good balls. For example, against Lazio, from our own half, he fizzed it through to Watkins and he scored.
He did have a good pre-season for you guys, but last season, when we speaking to Leicester fans, when they came up here, it seemed like he threw the towel in for them and it seemed like he was on the decline. Are you hopeful he's going to have a good season? Or?
I think with the Leicester situation, you could tell that Leicester are in a bit of trouble. You know, they didn't really sign players when they should have done. Brendan Rodgers, I feel, was harshly treated. He didn't really get the money, and I think Tielemans was resigned to the fact that he was going. You know, I think he was resigned to the fact that he was running his contract out, and so I'm hoping he's come to the Villa. Bit of breath of fresh air. It's what we need in midfield. You know, we've got Douglas Luiz and Kamara, but I think Tielemans just adds that bit of extra dynamic for us. You know, a bit of creativity for us.
Fresh start for him then.
Yeah, 100%.
Tielemans, he's just got to rebuild his confidence because last season he was with a team that was looked like they were most likely going to go down, and that might have ruined his morale a bit. So he's just got to rebuild that, and I think he'll be a world-class player.
Yeah. And then who would you say from the outside perspective is Newcastle's best player? Who are you most fearful of today?
Wilson,
yeah.
I'm gonna have to agree again. Yeah.
He knows where the back of the net is. I think Isaac's a good player, but Wilson for me, he's a goal scorer.
Yeah.
You know.
Then last question here as well. So Tottenham Hotspur, they've just getting rid of Harry Kane. What is that going to do for Spurs this season?
I think Spurs are in real trouble now. I think they're in real trouble. They've lost a guy who gets you 20 odd goals a season, you know, and I don't think they're going to replace him with anyone anywhere near as good. I think they're in real trouble.
So what does real trouble sound like? What's the league position, do you reckon?
I'm saying bottom half of the top 10 or top half of the bottom 10.
Big
I think they'll struggle. I think Postecoglou's got a real job on his hands. I mean, they've still got Son, but I think losing a player like Kane, the day before the season starts, it's a real blow for him.
Well, again, when the Tottenham Hotspurs came up here, we asked them because he was being linked with a move out there as well. They didn't trust Levy was going to spend all the money. Now they know it's 100 million. From the outside perspective, I know he's not Spurs fans. Do you think that money will get reinvested wisely or whatever, or do you reckon
no,
it's going to be like Gareth Bale style money?
No, I think Levy's sort of he's sort of done Tottenham in a little bit. I think they could have sold Kane, you know, a week before the season starts, and they got a bit of a chance to replace him. But to do it a day before the season starts, I mean, that to me saying that he's getting the money, he's going to put a lot of it in the back pocket and maybe reinvest a little bit in the squad. But I can't see him getting anyone as good as what Kane was. So.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be very straight to the point. They're not going to be as good as last season, and I'm going to say they're going to finish 10th to 14th or something.
Okay, so we're here with the head of the big season with
Rob.
What's your name?
Caden.
So, what's your thoughts firstly on this season? Where's your expectations? Where do you think you're going to end up at the end of the season?
What do you reckon?
Europe.
Europe.
Yeah?
Yeah, Europe's good, yeah.
Is
yeah.
that heart or is that head?
Top four. Heart and head, yeah.
We had one of our regular contributors, Newcastle fan. He, out of nowhere, suggested that you guys would be dark horses for number 4.
I think so, yeah, definitely, yeah.
Do you reckon you've got the squad to compete with that at the moment? The transfer window's still open.
Still open, I think maybe one or two. Bring a decent forward in, make Ollie, work a little bit harder.
Yeah.
Not that he's not working hard, so Ollie, we love you.
Yeah.
And just to strengthen it a little bit more, one or two, and then I think we're there.
How have you been impressed with the transfer window so far, with the signings you've made?
Really good. I like Diaby. I think he's phenomenal. Good signing, and Torres as well. Let's see.
Tielemans, what's your thoughts on that?
I like Tielemans. Yeah. You forget about him. Yeah, last two as well. Great season, great player for Leicester. So yeah,
Who's your favourite? Who's signed?
Who he signed? Who your favourite?
Diaby.
He likes
Diaby.
as
So
well, yeah.
we Newcastle, we were linked with them. We got Barnes instead. If you could trade with Barnes, who do you reckon is going to have a better season?
With Diaby or Barnes?
Goals and assists, yeah.
I think Harvey Barnes loves to score against the Villa, so I'm hoping he has a bad day today. But yeah, I'll stick with Diaby. I think I think he's phenomenal. Yeah. From what I've seen, phenomenal. Yeah.
Cracking pre-season already.
Pre-season, yeah. Some great goals as well. Watched him in training a few bits on the AV TV, and it's really good. Really impressed. Yeah, can't wait.
You've lost one of your big players, ACL, just last week or whatever. Is that mean you're going to have to dip more in the transfer market? Is there a lot more signings that you're hoping for?
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully, he was just hitting his peak as well. When he absolute gutted, yeah. So, yeah, happy days. Well, this little fella bagged a hat-trick today as well in his team as well. So,
Congratulations.
Well, he got 4.
Good luck, Tom. Well, we're going to do some quick fire with you. We're doing this with the Newcastle fans as well. So, first one's a bit easy for you guys. Top goal scorer at the end of the season. Who are we thinking?
Ollie Watkins.
Ollie Watkins, is that a given?
Yeah.
Most assists this season.
McGinn.
Good shout. I'd say McGinn, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Star performer, who's going to be a star man this season?
Diaby.
Diaby, yeah.
Good shout. I'm hoping to see McGinn.
McGinn, okay. Who's going to have the breakout this season? Who's going to be the breakout star?
Maybe McGinn.
McGinn again, yeah?
Torres.
Yeah, okay. And then what's your outlandish claim that's going to happen at Aston Villa this season? Like a 40-1 odd or something like that? Something a little bit outlandish. Champions League, you said, though. Maybe that's...
Champions League and a bit of silverware.
Bit of silverware?
Yeah.
Champions League and silverware as well.
Yeah, silverware, yeah.
From the outside perspective on Newcastle, where do you think Newcastle's going to finish at the end of the season?
Well, if we finish third, they deserve to finish fourth.
Fourth, yeah?
Yeah. What do you reckon?
Same,
yeah. And who's the star man from the outside? Who are you most worried about at Newcastle? You mentioned it, Barnes as well. Who do you think Newcastle's best player is?
Callum Wilson's a good shout as well. I'd like to see him at Villa Park, actually, to be honest. So yeah, Callum Wilson. I think he'll do well. And Isaac as well. Yeah.
I would say maybe Isaac.
Yeah. And is there someone you're wanting to sign as well? Is there someone that the transfer window's still open that you'd like to see you go for?
Harry Kane's just left for Bayern Munich. We should have dipped into the purse for that one.
Is there much transfer budget left, do you think? Is there much room?
I've no idea, to be honest. No, I've no idea. I'm just super chuffed with Emery. Whatever he seems to do at the moment, he's touching. So his magic fingers. So whatever he decides, I'll back him. So.
Is there maybe another striker? Because looking from the outside perspective, I think if Watkins goes down injured, have you got maybe someone to replace?
We definitely need one. Yeah. Who? I don't know. See what the market brings. See what's available. See who wants to come to Villa. So.
Is there anyone you'd like to see brought in?
Striker.
Kieran Trippier.
Trippier, yeah.
Trippier,
Do you reckon you can get him from Newcastle?
Maybe.
What's your expectations in Europe? Because we've seen West Ham struggle Premier League last season to try to get the balance. You do seem like you've got a more rounded squad, though.
I think we have got a more rounded squad to what West Ham had last year, and I mean they did well and won it. Fair play to them, but I think if they can win it, and looking at what teams are in it now, Juventus aren't in it. We're arguably one of the best teams in it, so there's no reason why they can't have a good run, but hopefully not to the detriment of the league, and we may be playing a lot of Sunday games, but yeah.
You're in it?
I'd rather be in it than not in it. So
we got some quick fire questions here. So the first one's probably a little bit obvious. So top goal scorer this season, who's your prediction?
Watkins.
Is it just a given that he is? He's
I should be. He's only our out-and-out striker at the moment. I would like to see another striker in, to be fair.
I was going to say, because from the outside, I mentioned this to the last guy, that seems to be your only weakness. If he goes down injured, I don't think you've really got the cover. Is that?
And to be fair, I think, obviously we like Watkins, but he's not an out-and-out goal scorer. He was a winger that's converted and does miss a lot of chances. So hopefully we'll see even more improvement with the players we've got. But no, definitely would like to see another out-and-out forward. And I think he's trying to get someone.
Most assists this season, who's going to be for you guys?
DRB or McGinn.
Yeah, okay. Star performer, who's going to be the best player this season?
Potentially DRB, but in midfield, Louise is quality. No hassle, he's got better and better. But yeah, we want, I suppose, always think of the flair players, don't we?
Yeah. Breakout star of the season?
Potentially, we've got a couple of young players. Philogene Bidas, his name. He was out on loan at Cardiff last year. He's played him in pre-season, and he's played all through pre-season. And I think he'll be in the squad. So.
Yeah. And then we asked this of Newcastle fans. So before a ball's being kicked, we want to see what your top 6 are this season. So who's going to win the league?
I think City will win the league easily.
Yeah, just a given.
I don't think there'll be a great deal between then Arsenal, Man United. I think Liverpool are a little bit off the pace.
Yeah. Is that your top 4?
Can't see Chelsea or Tottenham being around again. Hopefully Villa could crash the top 4 and maybe Newcastle will be around it again as well.
Yeah, you mentioned Tottenham as well. They've just getting rid of Harry Kane. What is that going to do to their season? Do you think they'll replace and get even stronger, or do you think that's them?
Well, they definitely won't go any stronger. I think the upset, having the new manager in, everything, I just don't see them in the top 6.
Where
really
can
don't.
you see them this season? Where do you think they're going to end up?
I think they'll be like 8th, 9th. I don't see them being any better than Brighton, Villa, Newcastle. And then obviously you've got your so-called top 6 as well. All seem better than Tottenham, to be honest.
Yeah. And then 3 relegation teams. Who's going down?
I'll be controversial to our local. We hate Wolves. Well, they weren't a rival until about 5 years ago, and they created a rivalry. I've got lots of friends that are Wolves fans, like where I live, and they've all gone very quiet all of a sudden. And the manager going, I think they could go. It's always the promoted teams could, like thereabouts. Luton could struggle. Forest maybe, because they've got to balance the books money-wise. And Sheffield United. I think, it's the promoted sides and hopefully Wolves.
Who's your 3 then? So
Wolves.
Nottingham Forest?
No, Luton and Forest. I think Sheffield United made they battle, don't they?
Yeah. With Wolves, I know it's a rival, so you're possibly a little bit unbiased. They just seems like they're on free-for-all now. The manager, not often managers walk out. They haven't got any money to spend. Is this going to be the season that they drop?
Hopefully.
100%?
No, I don't think they do battle. They always seem to pull it out. I mean, it looked like they were in trouble last year. They got Lopetegui, the manager, that kept them up and did well. And I think if he'd have stayed, they would have stayed up.
Got rid of Neves though. Got rid of Jimenez.
So your best player leaves and goes to play in Saudi Arabia is a bit odd.
Got a lot of money from them though, and they haven't really spent anything.
No, it's because even the owners released a statement in the last week, more or less apologising to the fans, saying they can't spend any money because of balancing the books. So there's not many optimistic Wolves fans out there.